What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we're back to work on the RS parts car. If you guys didn't know, we said we weren't going to work on this car anymore. We're just going to update you guys in the end of the month, and that's still what we're going to do. The reason why we're here today is because we're going to cut the whole front end off of this car and use it for our 95 GSR that was stolen, because that car has the whole front end cut off, and we're going to use this to try to put two front ends together and make that car one again. So the premise of this video is we're going to make jigs. So we're going to make a jig up here, another jig down here underneath the frame rail, using 3 bolts on each face. So 3 here, 3 underneath, and same goes for that side. I don't think there's any other ones I could use, and maybe I'll do like an X at the bottom. I'm not sure yet. But I got this idea from Mike Prizza. So if some of you guys don't know him, he's a YouTuber as well that had a 240 SX that he, it was his pride and joy. I think he had just finished it and the car got T-boned, and he basically took the car down to like literally like pieces and built it all the way up. And he used jigs from other 240s to basically align everything together, because he literally used quarter panels from different cars, doors, the firewall from another, the frame rails from another. Like, he just basically bought like a Lego, and he made a Lego using jigs, and the car is up and running now, and everything looks pretty good. So if you guys want to give him a follow and watch him, he makes pretty good content as well. So we're just gonna have to strip the rest of the engine bay, because we are gonna have to cut somewhere back here and then flip this upside down to make the bottom jigs. So as you guys can see, there's still a lot here. The clutch line's still here, the fuel lines, the AC lines, the transmission, condenser, the fuse box, and the battery tray. So all that we have to remove very quickly, so we could actually get down to that, the fabrication, because I'm a fabricator. Just kidding, I'm terrible at this. So let's get to it. Alright guys, as you can see, we have removed everything off the firewalls, off the rest port or front bulkhead of the car. So AC system is gone, washer fluid is gone, condenser is gone, transmission's gone, the clutch line is gone. The harnesses are still obviously in the engine bay, as you can see, but they're just attached to the firewall. And when we cut it, we'll just make sure not to hit them, because we may either sell these or use them on another project. So what we're going to do for our first jig is we're going to build a metal plate that goes from here to here, and it hits all 3 of the fender bolts. And the purpose of that would be that when we put the front end onto the other car, we could put that metal bar back on it and make sure that all these 3 bolts are properly spaced from each other, and that'll make sure that everything lines up perfectly. Especially, not that it matters now per se, but it's going to matter more when we put the fenders and the body panels on, because they're obviously a specific distance from each other, or a specific length. And what we're going to use is this angle iron. It's 1.5 inch by 1/8 thick, so it's pretty sturdy metal. It's going to be strong enough to definitely hold this up, especially since there's going to be a brace on the top and on the bottom. So this will be definitely enough. We're going to cut this down the middle here, so make sure that we have a plate for that side and a plate for this side, because we don't need it to be angle iron, because there's not going to be 2 surfaces that this is going to go onto. And we're going to, once we do that, then we could cut the front end of the car off, flip it upside down, and work on all the bottom braces. So let's get right to it, guys. See, the brackets are on, and I'm yanking on them, and the car's coming this way. So that means I did my thing. I'm a fabricator. So these came out pretty good. I did go a little too short on the measurements. I cut 26.5, but I guess I didn't well, I did cut 26.5 to make up for whatever I lost in cutting through, but I guess my measurements, I should have measured to the outside of the holes because I needed metal to be on both sides of the hole. So I should have went to 27 inches, but nonetheless, we're good. So what we did is basically we put the plate on, drilled the middle hole, and then just marked out where the last two, the back and the front one, were gonna go, and then we drilled them out and just put bolts in them, and they're sturdy. So I think that this is definitely gonna hold the front of the car when we rolled it onto the other one, at least, you know, to definitely help us get it together. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna remove these brackets and put them aside, and we're gonna cut the front end of the car as far back as possible. We're gonna flip it upside down, and then we're gonna make the bottom brackets. So back to the time lapse, you guys go. So as you can see, rat support's off the car. It's pretty much lower. This went a little worse than I expected. I expected this to go pretty fast, but I found something out that I hadn't encountered before. So in these pockets in the frame rail where it touches the cabin, on both sides, you can see it here and on that side, there's these, well, you can't see this one, but there's these sensors for the airbags, and I didn't know that, and I was cutting right through them because they're inside the frame rail. They're literally inside the frame rail with a little cap on them, and I guess if the frame rail's pushed back at all, then if that touches the sensors and the airbags blow off, which is pretty cool because I never came across those before, and I've stripped plenty of these cars. But the only downside to me cutting it so far back is that I did touch into the harness here a little bit, and I didn't really cut through any. Well, actually I cut through one here. I don't know where the other piece of that one is. There's a ground cable, and then I just kind of came across a couple of them. So and there it is. There's the other side of that one that I cut. So I will have to repair this because like I said, I do want to keep this harness for another car. This guy's been telling me that he's gonna buy it and then he never comes. So screw that. But if you guys can tell, it's starting to rain and we're expecting a crazy storm today. So I'm just gonna cover this up and then basically put everything away and then pick this up tomorrow once the rain stops. As you can see, there are 3 holes here. 1, 2, and 3. So the premise is that we're gonna put a plate that hits 1, 2, and 3 bolts. This one may have to space out because this is such a longer bolt, but basically we want to use these 2 bolts and this one to hold everything together. Once again, once we put the front end of this car into the other one, this is going to be the plate that holds it all together. Guys, so as you see, we came up with a different bracketing system. Unfortunately, the one that I tried to do initially was just way too thin and it wasn't gonna work the way we needed it to. So safe to say that I wasted about 2 hours of my life trying to make that work, and then it took me about like 25 minutes or so to make this contraption. I did absolutely weld dimes, as you can see. Best fabricator in your area. Let me know if you need any work done. Just kidding, I don't do work. This welder really sucks. I'm not gonna say I'm like a great welder, but I definitely will weld, you know, way better than this if it wasn't for this terrible welder. So there's no way I'm gonna be able to weld the front end on that car with this terrible flux welder. So we are gonna have to upgrade our welding system. So unfortunately, this is gonna have to do, and this is probably what's gonna hold the front end on that black car in the meantime, till we could get a new welder setup going. So this system works, this setup works way better. So there's the bolt still going on the subframe here, and then there's 3 bolts that are going to tie into the front of the actual rad support. So this is the best way to do it. I don't know why I didn't think about this first, but I guess like when you're just working, you don't really think straight. It is pretty sturdy, so it's not. I guess it's not as sturdy as I said. So now I got to do this again. Put it on the car and weld it again. But this is going to be the end of the video because we have to edit this and send this out to you guys. Next time you guys see this, there'll be 2 of them. This won't be all like this. Terrible, terrible, terrible. When you try to flex your booger welds and it goes wrong. So with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in. Sorry we got nothing done really. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Crazy disappointed.